Welcome everybody. Really excited to be here in the Positive Cash Flow group with a wonderful guest today. So I'm Meredith from Custom B&B. This is the group that I've created to talk to you about Airbnb and short-term rentals and how you can build a portfolio or enhance and elevate your existing investment property, or how you could potentially buy an investment property and then list it on Airbnb and make some pretty good rental returns. But really, this is about adding value to you, information sharing, asking questions, getting some answers, and building a bit of a community around that. So I'm going to welcome Julie. I've known Julie now for about, I think, a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. And she was a guest speaker at something that I participated in about that long ago. And she has an amazing story about how Airbnb has really impacted and added so much value to her life. But she's also got a hell of a lot of information and knowledge and smarts about this that she's really graciously happy to share with us today. So, Julie, thank you so much for coming on board.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. I've tuned in and watched a few of your interviews, Meredith, so I finally made it on your show. That's exciting. So.
Yeah, winning.
And you just told me we've only got an hour, but I've got about 2 hours worth of tips and shares and content. So bloody hell, we better jump straight in.
So let's get going. Well, do you want to introduce yourself and just tell us, give us a snapshot of your story and how you are, where you are now, and why you're the $1 million host?
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. So let me give you the brief version.
Yep.
So look, 2016 is when I decided to jump into the crazy world of Airbnb. So it's not that long ago, folks. And I guess the shortened version was I was working as a real estate agent up in Cairns, Queensland, sitting in empty open homes, very flat market, dealing with property investors who weren't getting a great return for their dollar. They were dealing with situations where they were either having to sell for a bit of a loss, or they were renting to long-term tenants, having their property completely trashed and really not even covering the bills. So it was a pretty miserable situation. I guess I found myself, I had a whole bunch of properties that I owned personally in Cairns and waiting for that payday to come in where the market might rise. While waiting, my tenant of 10 years moved out of my little one-bedroom unit just on the city fringe. Now, I was getting $240 a week for that property, and when he moved out, I thought, I'm going to give this phenomenon of Airbnb a crack. All I've got to do is find some linen. I'm going to connect the Wi-Fi, put the power on, see what happens. And within a couple of days, really, the bookings started flowing in. The pleasant experience of dealing with these amazing guests who are on their best behaviour because they're being reviewed started occurring. And of course, then I realised the financial gains. Now, I went from $240 a week to $600 a week on average with Airbnb. I know. So cha-ching, brain goes off. My little light bulb moment occurred where I thought, right, if it can work for me, it can work for other people. And so I started talking to property investors who, well, one lady in particular, let me just quickly tell you, and I've got lots of stories, but one lady from Sydney, she came up to Cairns looking for a positive cash flow property, right? They just don't exist. You know, may as well be looking for a unicorn out there. And so I said to her, they don't exist, but let's create one. So let's go find a property. Let's find a property that you would like to vacation or holiday in yourself. Let's turn it into an Airbnb. I'll manage it. So let's buy it. I'm going to get that commission. Let me manage it let me set it up for you. Firstly, we had to furnish it. We had to put the Wi-Fi, all that sort of stuff together, run around Kmart with 10 different trolleys. I'm going to charge you for that. But she was okay with that. I'm then going to manage it for you because you live in Sydney. And suddenly we were making so much for this woman in returns. She ended up coming back to me 6 months later and said, do it again. And she'd never seen her second property. But I guess where I'm getting at is I found a business opportunity. I created a business in late 2016 called Host My Home, Airbnb property management. So it was purely taking other people's properties, managing the process for them, charging a commission and sharing the profits, really. So it was a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what I really love about this process, and been onboarding a bunch of new properties just recently. And it's just really lovely being able to have these conversations with owners about, hey, you're going to get this out of it. And we're both going to be taken care of out of this process. And, yeah, I agree.
No,
Win-wins.
it's exciting. And I guess from there, just to let you know how it went, within 3 years, we had amassed over 130 properties, $8 million in income. So it blew my mind. Where I was trying to create this business where I thought there's an opportunity, man, was there an opportunity. And I guess, it's just an exciting business to get into. Not a lot of money to set up. I think it cost me about $9,000 to get advertising, software, get everything sort of lined up. And mind you, Meredith, I did it the hard way. I didn't have a mentor like yourself or myself to help you guide on the way. I just did it the hard way, learnt from mistakes. But yeah, three years in, $8 million, 130 properties. I got a tap on my shoulder to sell my business, and I actually sold about 6 months before COVID hit. So timing was bloody brilliant. Sold to a bigger company. But in the meantime, I've written this book, $1 Million Host, which tells you the story about what I did, how I set it up, and really just how other people can do it themselves.
Yeah, and it's a good book. I've had a read, and I think the other bit, and I want to touch on it a bit, is that the book has all those awesome bits of information, but it's also about creating that legacy for your son, and I love that.
Yeah, it is. I've got a 22-year-old son now, and I know you've got a young son yourself, and really he hasn't taken a lot of notice of what mum's done. And the one thing I know, writing a book, it's going to outlast me, but it might just be of interest to his kids or his grandchildren down, and it's a great legacy. And so it does tell my own personal story. My ex-husband probably bought it because he probably thought I wrote about him. A little bit in there, so it is a bit of a combination of my personal journey through real estate. It actually talks about all my real estate purchases as well, and even down to the point of not all your real estate purchases are financial. There was one circumstance where I bought my grandparents' house because they couldn't afford to live on a pension, and so I purchased it for them. They just, paid a little tiniest bit of rent, just the bare minimum. They gave the rest of it to the Bowls Club pokey machines, but they had a great last few years of life, and and that's all I can ask for. If it helps me, helps my family, win-win. So,
absolutely, I think that's such a powerful thing that property can do for you. I mean, creating a home for people is such a, it's never going to go away. And that's why I know property investors here and, totally get why property is a great asset to invest in, because people always need to live somewhere. They need a home. We want one. We want to create one for our family. We want a safe spot. We want to have holidays. It's all that stuff. Real estate's not going to go anywhere, and it's a really fantastic asset if you're educated and you understand, and I've engaged in an education program around Airbnb. You learnt the hard way, but are now educating others about it as well. But education is just so critical to make it successful faster.
Yeah, and making a difference in someone else's life, it's a big bonus. And and that's where I get a real thrill now, because now I've sold my business. Most of the time I'm traveling the world when I can. Now I'm in Rockhampton today. You can see a bit of a classroom set up behind me, but normally I'm overseas and talking to people and trying to, I guess, encourage them to get into the same sort of line of business that you and I are in. And it's such a thrill. Like I get a real buzz out of seeing people succeed. And so any of your people that are joining in and listening to us now, and we'll talk about how to connect later, but I'd love to be able to connect. And then in 6 months, let me know how you're going, because it's it's kind of cool when people can grow their own business or have a positive effect on their community. Yeah,
I agree. Absolutely. So you've invested in property and you've listed your own property on Airbnb, which we've talked about. And you've really sort of outlined, I guess, how that strategy has benefited you. Have you continued putting your own properties on Airbnb? Did you do it once or?
Yeah, can I be honest? Since COVID hit, I had to pivot. And unfortunately, with the intention to always go back to Airbnb because it's been so successful. But in the meantime, my properties in Cairns, I have put doctors and nurses in them, long-term leases, well, flexible leases, not necessarily long-term leases. And this is where I think people have got to take those blinkers off and go, okay, what's the problem out in the community? How can I solve it? And the problem that I saw was that we had a lot of doctors and nurses coming into the region for the big hospital that we have in Cairns. They weren't necessarily staying for the typical 6-month lease period that is being offered by real estate agents. So I just put an ad up there ad on all the real estate advertising portals saying, look, you tell me how long you need, I'll put you in there. And, and some were 3 months, some were 4 months, some were 6 weeks. But I would vary the price according to how long they needed it to make it worthwhile for me. And yeah, it's a win-win. So guys, take those blinkers off, be flexible, look at the problems out there, offer a solution.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you've been watching the property market?
Yeah.
Any areas you think would look good on Airbnb as an investment at the moment?
Yeah, and I can tell you I've just driven up from Victoria right up through the New South Wales coast, up through the Gold Coast, and I'm in Rocky at the moment. Look, Cairns, anywhere that there's an international airport, I would focus in on for the future. Not right now, but a domestic airport's really important at the moment. But I have just seen Queensland absolutely go gangbusters, and Broadbeach, around the Surfers Paradise Broadbeach area, I've been there the last 3 or 4 days, and it is pumping like there is no issues at all in the world. And I was looking up real estate to buy there just in the last few days. So I guess wherever you can buy, that it's going to make a good capital gain in the future. No matter what, even with a pandemic, but yeah, look for properties that are are going to be sought after with the rental market, with the short-term rental market. And I know, just for example, Cairns at the moment, yes, we have had a slight increase in the last few months in the sale prices, but you can still get a little 1-bedroom unit for $200,000, and they're the ones that are making the $600 on Airbnb. So those returns, and in fact, I've got 3 of them. I'll sell you 3 of them today for $200,000 each if anyone wants them. First investor.
Yeah, fantastic.
Good.
You've got your real estate license, haven't you, Jules?
I do, yeah, I do. I don't think I'll ever go back into selling again. That sort of that shine has sort of lost it for me, but because I just love what I'm doing now. I really love the helping people set up in their own business. But yeah, I did for a couple of years. I was into, but I only got my real estate license because it was a hobby to me. And then I thought, bugger it, I might as well make it a profession. Jumped in, got the real estate license, went into sales. There's so many people in sales out there that you've really got to do something out of the box and a little bit different. And for me, I found the niche of Airbnb, like you have, Meredith, which I just, hats off to you, because I know this is going to pay off in the future. But it's you've just got to keep reinventing yourself, staying one step forward, ahead of all the competition, and that's the hardest part.
Some really good points though about like just saying, I mean, it's even within Airbnb, when we talk about listing our properties and making them stand out, like what are those 1% things that make your property stand out from the other property? So it doesn't matter whether you're, selling the property or you're listing it and, renting it on Airbnb. It's about making the little bit of wow factor, or that little, and that's what we do, the gifts when people arrive, or, whatever it is that's unique for you.
100%. You've got to keep on your toes and really keep thinking about how you can attract the business to start with, but then also get those good reviews and the repeat business. So always a challenge.
So for those in the group wanting to increase their property management portfolio, like I do, how did you advertise and meet and connect with interested property owners to build your business so quickly?
Yeah, look, I guess I took a very different point of view, as in I really wanted people to come to me and to seek me out. And the one way to do that, which is really hard for a lot of people, but I don't know, I found it easy, is to set yourself up as being the expert in the area and to give free information. Now, what you're doing, Meredith, and that's why I'm so excited for you and Custom B&B, how you're going to go, is that you're giving so much free information out to the wider community, and you're helping people constantly. Now, when it comes to time for these property investors to go, okay, it's too hard to manage my own property, or I want to buy something, but I don't have the time or the skills or the knowledge to get the right returns on Airbnb, they're going to come back to you. They're always going to remember you. So purely, I guess my biggest tip for anybody who's looking to start that marketing or promotion process is you don't necessarily have to put a lot of money into advertising or to create stubby coolers or something like that to put out to every guest that's coming through. But you really want to be able to give that free information, whether through social media. I did a series of magazine articles when I first started, and it was a glossy magazine. It was going to the high the wealthier community. I should be careful how I word this, but all the property investors would get these magazines, and I knew that they had a long shelf life. So they're still floating around. I see them in doctor surgeries now. Yeah. And it did cost me a little bit of money just to put a full page advertisement, but next to it I put a full page article, and it was something like an article on how to list your property over Christmas. What are the top 10 tips for getting the best return? What are the top 10 properties in the Cairns region for Airbnb? So really interesting articles, but I would do it as I guess I was doing it to give that information out, build my brand, build my profile, and build that knowledge, like that, the reputation of, look, who can we go to if we want to talk about holiday renting? My name was top of mind every time. So that was really, that was the number one. But put press releases out too. The media absolutely love anything that's newsworthy and related to Airbnb. So you could put something, very soon there's going to be, I think there's something with the noise restrictions, but also parties over Christmas and New Year. I'd be writing articles right now about how to combat that and how, or the top 5 tips on how to make sure your house doesn't turn into the next party zone. And you put that out to any of the media, the TV, the radio, they're going to lap it up. They're going to interview you. And, like I'm doing, I'm jumping and doing interviews every few days. But, people will still they'll soon start to know who you are.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant advice. Thank you. I got some notes. I need to get on to do some things. All right. So what's your advice for starting out as a host? Give us your top 5 tips.
Right. Now, I didn't even actually write these. Well, think about this too much, but I guess the top 5 tips would be you've just got to get that first property. So as long as you can get that number 1 property and don't hesitate, just get in there and do it. You're going to make mistakes. You absolutely will make mistakes. You're going to do it the hard way. You're going to have to put in the hard yards. When you first start, you're going to have to do all the cleaning yourself. I believe. Get in there, do the cleaning, do the purchasing of all the homewares, meet and greet the guests. You really need to understand the full facet of the business before you start growing it. And I guess they're probably not the tips, but this is the sort of advice that I would give a new person. Find a mentor, find somebody that you can ask questions of. Don't do it the hard way like I did, because I honestly didn't make every mistake that you possibly could, even from washing my own linen to outsourcing it to buying it to bloody linen. I still had nightmares about folding fitted sheets. So, but find a mentor, find somebody to give you the fast track, do a course, get on YouTube. There's plenty of free information out there as well, but really get some advice and find some people to follow. And I guess, probably my last tip would be, just honestly, just do it. Don't hesitate, jump in. There's not a lot of risk in this business, but it is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of huge, huge rewards financially and emotionally and personally. So,
Totally agree. Yeah. So what are some of the ways you add extra income streams to your business? So, I guess, you've got your own Airbnb business up and running, and I know that you, from reading your book, and certainly hearing you talk, you have added an extra income stream. So can you talk about a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the number one income stream was taking 25% of any bookings coming in was what I would charge for the management fee. I'd take the cleaning fee, but then all the extras that you can offer are just unlimited. Really, it comes up to you. You're only held back by your own imagination, really. But one of the most successful income streams that I had was partnering with the tour desk, and I knew that everyone coming up to the Cairns, to the Great Barrier Reef region, really would want to do tours. They're not coming up there to sit in their hotel rooms, or their Airbnbs. But what I would do is, rather than do the hard yards myself and try and do all the research myself and try and do the bookings myself, or going and talking to each individual tour operator, I went to a tour desk who were already set up with all these connections of all the local operators. The tour desks would be able to put together a folder for me with all the brochures in it. They would be able to what we did was, basically, on every person that was coming to my properties, I would send them a message saying, if you're looking for tours or activities while you're in Cairns, contact David on this phone number or on this email address. They would contact David, and David's first question always, no matter what, whoever called him from any source, would be, who's referred you, or where are you staying? Now, he had a list of all the properties that I had, that I was managing. So he would just quickly look it up, and he would go, that's one of Julie's properties. He would give me 20% of his commission. So on any bookings. Now, it was amazing. We would make probably $1,200 to $2,000 a month on out of these tour booking referrals. All we were doing was simply just shooting that message off and having a compendium of brochures in the rooms, saying, in the properties, saying, if you're interested in any of these, give Dave a call. He'll give you the best deals. So tour desks, number one. Number two, insurance agents, insurance providers and insurance brokers. Now, they are very, very happy for you to refer homeowners to them, and they will give you an ongoing lifetime referral commission. And I, even today, still get about $50 a month from this insurance company, and I have sold my business 12 months ago. So they're still giving me commissions because I've personally said, look, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, go and talk to this broker, and of course they've got their insurance. So insurance brokers. You may find the same with mortgage brokers. Mortgage brokers quite often give a referral fee. But then you can think outside the square even more so. What are the problems that your guests what are the problems your guests are encountering that you can solve? And it may be groceries. You might be able to provide the groceries in the property for them. You might be able to provide transfers from the airport. You might be able to provide a meal. Or even a mini bar. I love the idea of a mini bar and an honesty system, honesty box, because Airbnb, it's all about reciprocal reviews. Everyone's on their best behavior. So if you had a couple of cans of soft drink, a few packets of chips in the fridge, and just had a little price list and said, please leave your gold coins, when you leave, it'll happen. Please don't worry about it, because they would rather give you their $2 for their can of Coke than risk a bad review. But guys, let your imagination go wild, because this is where you can actually make some really, really good money.
Yeah, brilliant. I've got me thinking. I'm about to list a property in Hervey Bay at the moment, and of course there's the whole Fraser Island. So I need to get myself buddied up with the tour desk there.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it, and go to a tour desk, not the tour operator, because the tour desks, they are hungry for that work, and they'll do all the work for you, basically. So,
perfect. Yeah. I think that's the bit, we try to automate this business as much as we can. So if you've got it, set it up once and then let it just roll on, then that's perfect, isn't it? And so we set up messages now, and like Airbnb's got the automated messages that have come on now. So you can, if you're owning on Airbnb, you can set up even automated messages there. You don't have to rely on your PMS.
And there are so many different, third-party softwares. I guess it's funny though. There's so many third-party softwares or different providers that I just never used. And my whole philosophy with my business was keep it simple. And so I was operating just purely 100% Airbnb. I used Xero for my accounting, and then I had a real estate software program as well. That was it. No PMSs, no channel managers, nothing. And so now I talk to people that have set up with all these fandangled things or virtual assistants and all that type of thing, and I'm like, wow, that's it probably would have made my business a lot even more successful than it was. So.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's right. That you did it without having heaps of complexity. But I guess that's what the fundamentals are there. Like what you're talking about is the fundamental stuff that that can make a business work, and then the rest of it's just adding value or adding more to it. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
And you had the numbers right. So you found a property that worked in the right location. You added Airbnb to it. You marketed it right. You had a target audience. It had an avatar, all that stuff that we learn about in marketing. And you went for it. And then you fixed problems. And that's kind of business, isn't it? Really.
It is. That's it. Yeah. But it is, and it's simple. And I guess the one thing, I've always been a bit of a risk taker, so just jump in and do it. And, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. As my mentor says to me, he's like, Meredith, stop thinking about it, just do it. Oh, yeah, right again.
Exactly. As Nike says, just do it.
So, just do it. That's it.
Just jump in.
But, so what's your advice post-COVID for investors who use Airbnb as part of their strategy?
Yeah, look, my gut feel, and I guess I've been doing a lot of communication with Airbnb themselves, and to talk to really big companies around the world, what's going to happen. I'm super excited for our industry. I think that coming out of COVID, guests and travelers are not going to want to stay in a hotel. They're going to want their own cooking facilities. They're going to want their own space. They're going to want Airbnb and short-term rentals are going to outweigh the popularity of hotel rooms, that type of thing. So I think that we're in a super strong industry. I would seriously consider investing in a property that even if you're still on shaky ground at the moment, you can put somebody in for maybe a month or 2 months, but then engage a professional property management company like yourself, like Custom B&B, to manage it for you and get those best returns. I'm very excited about it. As I said, I was in Broadbeach the other day looking up how much is that complex over there and that complex over there, because I can just see the potential. It's it's going to come in thick and fast. Australia, we are leading the way with COVID at the moment. Everyone wants to come to Australia because we're safe. So as soon as vaccines have started today, we're recording this on the 9th of December, and I just watched on the TV this morning people getting their first jabs. Once we've got vaccines, we can all travel again. Australia's going to be super popular. Queensland's going to probably be the most popular because, sorry, Meredith, I know you're in Victoria, but I was just there and wearing a mask sucked. So,
can I just say, I was also wearing my slippers yesterday, and it's blooming summer.
Come to Queensland.
I want to. Yeah.
But investors, jump in, get your properties, get them now while there's bargains to be had, and just talk to someone like Meredith who can, if you're worried about Airbnb immediately, start setting it up now, but put somebody in for a couple of, a few weeks on a longer term lease, and then boom, you're ready to go.
That's right. Yeah, we've of the 2 properties that I've got here in Brunswick, we've got one's taking nightly guests, and the other one we've still got someone in there sort of on a 3-monthly, 89-day kind of arrangement. And we'll, it's kind of like we're hedging our bets a little bit. We're dabbling, we're giving it a go, and certainly people are booking. They're booking last minute though.
Yeah.
And which is great. But we've sort of got that other one covered as well. But we just opened a property up down in McRae, and it just went boom, full. It's great. Yeah.
It's super exciting, and I think what you're doing is right. I think you've just got to have that flexible mindset that look. We may need to pivot. We may need to put somebody in on a longer term lease for a little while, but and I guess what's important to an investor is somebody that's going to look after where's the best returns coming from, and if the manager is looking after that that mindset and has that similar mindset, great. That's all you can ask for. So, that's very exciting times. So
what's happening for you going forward, Julie George and the $1 Million Host? Where can people connect you and find you? What are you doing going forward?
So I'm doing lots of Zooms. I'm doing lots of video consultations. My website is just simply milliondollarhost.com.au. That's probably the best place for people to consult or come to me. I'm doing free consultations at the moment. Just if anyone wants to have a chat, half an hour free consult, jump in. As I said, I love just meeting people from all over the world, but also just finding out what the challenges you're facing might be. How can I help? Can I offer any advice? There's no filter here, and there's no secrets that are being held back. I'm happy to talk about everything. I even I've got all my documents that I used in my business as Word documents that I sell on my website, because people just, as I said, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. If you need something, just grab it. But LinkedIn, Facebook, please, if anyone wants to contact me, they just look up Julie George or $1 Million Host. And I guess at the moment, I'm doing the majority of my work is with Americans. So every week I'm on video chats with the Americans, even though their world is completely imploding over in America. The Americans are special, and they don't see it themselves. They just think that, okay, here's an opportunity. Here's a time to set up a new business, a property management business, or get into Airbnb. And I bloody love that. Like, there's no holding them back. And so if they are willing to do it, I'm willing to help them. And it's super exciting. But as soon as my passport is allowed out of lockdown, I'm out of here. My plans are, I was supposed to be in Israel this year talking to a conference over there with Guesty. A lot of people may have used the software program Guesty. They had asked me to come to Israel to present at a big conference. So I'm hoping to do that next year. Hopefully get back to the States as well. Mind you, I definitely want my jab in my arm before I do that. And but yeah, so until then, lots of Zooming and lots of promoting. The book has gone bestseller around the world, so that keeps me awfully busy, just tracking what's happening with that $1 Million Host book. So.
Oh, it's so good, Jules. Yeah, well, we're really grateful for your generosity of time and knowledge today. I've got 5 questions for you to close off today. So, if you had to be in lockdown, like those of us in Melbourne were, which celebrity would you like to be locked down with?
Oh, bloody hell. All right, one that doesn't hog the mirror, and one that, I guess, look, we could always go for a George Clooney or actually, you know what, probably Richard Branson. I know he's not the best thing to look at, but man, what a conversation you could have with that guy. And, I just admire anybody who's got off their bum to build their own business and to not stop. Like that guy, he just continually reinvents, and everything he touches turns to gold, and I just bloody love it. So sorry, Chris Hemsworth.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, everything he touches turns to gold. That's what we see. We don't see the 5 other ones that he touched that didn't eventuate into anything, because he gave it a go,
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'm sure he could say the same as what I'm saying. There's a lot of mistakes that you'll make, and there's a lot of there's a lot of crap that you've got to go through, but those successes far outshine those negatives. So I'd love to, if I'm in lockdown, Mr. Virgin himself. So.
Yeah, come on down. Yep. What's the book you're currently reading?
Well, I actually, probably, to be honest, nothing that's business worthy. But I just read a great book called Henry's Sisters, which is a novel that I've been reading. But the last good business book that I read, and this is one that I would recommend to all of your listeners, is called what's it called? The One Thing by Gary Keller, and it's all about the one thing you can do in your.
Oh, Jules, I've lost you. You're frozen. No. Oh, and we've lost her. I don't know if you're still playing or not. Are you there, Jules? I can't hear you talking anymore. You're frozen to me. I'm just going to try and check and see what it looks like online. Yeah, it looks like you're frozen. All right, we might have to end it there. Our internet looks like it's survived really well, and I've nearly finished our interview with Julie. I only had 3 more questions for her about what her favourite podcast was right now. But we will. I think she's at an amazing value right now. We will, come back and watch this one, share this video with others, and if you think it's been of value to you, certainly comment down below and. Ask any other questions, because Julie is more than willing to answer questions. She's incredibly generous with her knowledge and her time. Please share this with other people. Comments, give us a like down below, and we will catch up with you again next week when we have another guest. Mark is going to join us next week. Hopefully we can get coordinated next Wednesday evening. All right, have a great day, guys, and we'll catch you again soon.